On May 19, 2012, as the sun dipped below the jagged, snow-laden peaks of Mount Everest, a dream teetered on the brink of disaster. Picture a woman, her face etched with exhaustion yet glowing with triumph, standing at 8,848 meters, only to face a fate that would shatter her family and shock the world. This is the saga of a fearless novice, drawn by unyielding resolve into the mountain's frozen grip. Welcome to Epic Tragedies, where this video and subscribing to the channel will bring you more gripping tales of survival and loss. Dream to conquer Everest. Her journey ignited with a dream to conquer Everest, a vision born in Kathmandu, Nepal, in 1979, when she was just 9 years old. From a helicopter window, alongside her father, she glimpsed the mountain's majestic summit, its white crown piercing the sky, a sight that lodged deep in her soul. That moment shaped Shriya Shah-Klorfine, a girl who would grow into a determined woman, moving to Mumbai, then Toronto, where she built a life as a fashion buyer and businesswoman, founding SOS Splash of Style Incorporated. Married to Bruce Klorfine, she seemed to have it all, yet the mountain's call never faded. In 2011, at 33, she began a rigorous training regimen, 6 hours daily of cardio, strength exercises, and mental preparation, driven by a childhood promise. But her experience was limited. Her only trek reached 3,500 meters, a mere whisper compared to Everest's lethal altitudes. This dream, so vivid and personal, set her on a path where passion would collide with peril, leaving us to wonder, what price would she pay? Adding to her story, she immersed herself in Nepalese culture, often visiting temples to seek blessings for her climb, a ritual that reflected her deep-rooted connection to her homeland. Friends described her as fiercely independent, a trait that fueled her ambition but also her blind spots. She ignored advice from local mountaineers in Kathmandu who cautioned her about the physical demands. Her training included yoga and meditation to build mental resilience, yet she lacked exposure to extreme cold or high-altitude simulations, a gap that experts later flagged as critical. Her husband supported her dream, even taking on extra work to fund it, a sacrifice that added emotional weight to her quest, making her journey a family endeavor tinged with hope and naivety. She wrote letters to her parents, filled with dreams of standing atop the world, each word a testament to her unyielding spirit, unaware of the mountain's silent judgment. Risky guide selection. That path led to a risky guide selection that would haunt her story. Shriya chose Utmost Adventure Trekking, a fledgling company with no proven record on Everest, paying around $70,000, a chunk of the $100,000 expedition funded by a second mortgage. This decision raised eyebrows among mountaineering experts, who saw her lack of high-altitude skills as a red flag. Her training, while intense, lacked the technical know-how of ice climbing, rope work, or acclimatization, skills honed over years, not months. Utmost Adventure, led by Ganesh Thakuri, promised guidance, but its inexperience mirrored hers, a double-edged sword. Warnings from seasoned climbers and Sherpas fell on deaf ears as she signed the contract, her faith in her dream blinding her to the risks. This choice, made in the bustling streets of Kathmandu, would soon test her resolve against the mountain's unforgiving nature. What dangers lurked ahead? Further details reveal Utmost Adventure was a new player, established just 2 years prior, with a team that had guided lower peaks but never faced Everest's complexities. Thakuri, though enthusiastic, had limited summit experience himself, relying on a small crew of Sherpas with mixed records. The company's marketing promised personalized attention, attracting novices like Shriya, yet it lacked the seasoned logistics of giants like Himalayan Experience. Reports suggest she was drawn by their lower cost compared to established firms, a decision influenced by financial strain from her business ventures. Local Sherpa communities expressed concern, noting Utmost's inadequate equipment checks, a factor that would later amplify her vulnerability. She met Thakuri in a cramped office, his assurances laced with optimism, yet she overlooked the faded gear and hurried preparations, her trust a fragile shield against the mountain's reality. Tough climb starts. The tough climb starts on May 18, 2012, from Camp 4 at 7:30 p.m., a late hour that set the stage for struggle. Accompanied by 2 less experienced Sherpas, Temba and Doi Dendi, after a senior Sherpa refused, citing her inexperience. She stepped into the night, the 2012 season already a chaotic crush of climbers. Delayed by crowded ropes and her slow pace, Shriya struggled for 7 hours up the Lhotse face, far longer than most climbers. Each step revealed her determination, but also her lack of preparation for Everest's harshest challenges. The 2012 season was marked by an unprecedented 500 permit holders, creating a human traffic jam that delayed her by hours, with climbers battling frostbite and fatigue. Her Sherpas carried extra gear, including a small stove for warmth, but their inexperience showed in poor route planning, forcing detours around crevasses. The Lhotse face, a steep wall of ice, tested her with avalanches rumbling in the distance, a sound that unnerved even seasoned climbers. Her slow pace drew stares from others, some offering help she politely declined, her pride a silent companion in the cold. The night sky sparkled with stars, a cruel contrast to the icy peril below, as her flashlight flickered, a symbol of her dwindling energy in the vast, indifferent wilderness. Ignores Sherpa warnings. Then came the moment she ignores Sherpa warnings, a turning point etched in ice. At the south summit, past noon on May 19th, Ganesh Thakuri, her expedition leader, stood before her, his face lined with concern. "Turn back," he urged, his voice firm yet pleading. The safe summit window had closed, her pace was a crawl, her exhaustion palpable. But Shriya, her eyes alight with determination, shook her head. "I don't want to go back. There's no way. I'm going to the top," she declared, her voice cracking with emotion. The Sherpas, bearers of generations of mountain wisdom, saw the danger, late hour, crowded routes, her faltering strength, but her dream drowned out their pleas. This defiance shifted the summit turns dangerous as she pushed toward the top, her summit victory a fleeting 30 minutes at 2:20 p.m. after nearly 19 hours, prayer flags fluttering in the thin air. The peak was hers, a red figure against the blue sky, but the descent loomed, a shadow ready to claim her. Thakuri's warning included data on past climbers who perished after late summits, a statistic she brushed aside, her focus locked on the summit's allure. The Sherpas' frustration was evident, their gestures animated as they pointed to darkening skies, but her resolve was ironclad, fueled by months of sacrifice and a belief that her dream could defy nature's limits. Her hands trembled as she adjusted her gear, her breath visible in the frigid air, a poignant sign of her body's limits she refused to acknowledge. Summit turns dangerous. The summit turns dangerous as the descent began, a descent into a nightmare. After her brief triumph, Shriya lingered at 8,848 meters, snapping photos, her spirit soaring, yet the clock ticked mercilessly. The return journey demanded oxygen, strength, and time, none of which she had in abundance. Her high flow rate had depleted her supply earlier than planned, a critical error by Utmost Adventure Trekking, who misjudged the descent needs. Stumbling down the Hillary step, her movements grew sluggish, the Sherpa's calls fading into the wind. The mountain's beauty turned hostile, its slopes a trap for the unprepared. Each step downward was a battle, her dream now a burden. What peril awaited in this treacherous drop? The Hillary step, a near-vertical rock face, was clogged with climbers, delaying her further, her gloves tearing on the icy holds. Wind speeds picked up, gusts whipping snow into her face, a sign of an approaching storm the Sherpas had predicted. Her oxygen mask fogged with each labored breath, a visual cue of her dwindling reserves, while others descending reported her disoriented state, her eyes glassy with fatigue. The summit's euphoria faded, replaced by a growing sense of dread among her team as the mountain's vastness swallowed her hopes in its icy maw. Descent ends in crisis. The descent ends in crisis as oxygen became her lifeline's breaking point. Near the south summit, her tank ran dry, her breaths ragged, her vision blurring. The Sherpas, Temba and Doi, struggled to support her, their own exhaustion mounting, but the rescue was a race against time. "Save me," she gasped, her voice a heartbreaking plea carried away by the gale, her final words to a friend, Shelian Sidhu, relayed later. Her body, once driven by determination, now betrayed her, slurred speech, faltering steps, a collapse in the snow. The 2012 season's 10 fatalities loomed large, and on May 19, 2012, she became one of them, her life slipping away in the cold embrace of Everest. The tragedy unfolded in silence, a stark contrast to her summit joy. What had this journey cost? The Sherpas attempted a makeshift oxygen transfer from their own tanks, a desperate measure that failed as the cold numbed their fingers. Reports from other climbers described her sitting motionless, her parka dusted with snow, a haunting image against the white expanse. The wind howled, carrying her faint cries, while rescue teams, stretched thin by the season's chaos, couldn't reach her in time. Her collapse marked a moment of collective failure, her own, her guides, and the system's. Her final breaths a whisper lost to the mountain's relentless storm. Tragic end and lessons. In summary, Shriya's tragic outcome stemmed from 3 critical mistakes: lacking high-altitude experience, choosing an unproven guide, and ignoring expert turnaround times. These decisions combined to put her at grave risk on the world's highest peak. The tragic end and lasting lessons came 10 days later, on May 29, 2012, when her body was recovered by helicopter, a somber sight airlifted from the mountain's grip and returned to Canada for a grieving family. Her death, one of the season's 10, sparked outrage and reflection. Outrage at Utmost Adventures' inexperience, reflection on the commercialization of Everest. The Sherpas' warnings, ignored in her pursuit, stood as a testament to their wisdom, a wisdom born of survival on these slopes. Her story exposed the dangers of novice climbers, the pitfalls of untested guides, and the mountain's indifference to ambition. It's a lesson carved in ice. Respect the mountain, heed the experts, for dreams without preparation are fragile indeed. Yet, even as we mourn her loss, the wild calls again. Even experienced adventurers fall. Consider Brazilian paraglider Rodrigo Ranieri, whose 2024 flight over the Baltoro Glacier ended in a fatal crash, proving nature spares no one. If you found this story compelling, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our next gripping episode. Share your thoughts below. What lessons do you take from Shriya's journey?